Hi all, welcome to this session on Service Cloud implementation. Before diving into the session, let me allow me to introduce myself. My name is Sivaramakrishna and I have 13 years of experience, out of which I have 9 years of experience in Salesforce. I have mainly worked in industries like automobiles, finance, airlines and utilities, and majority of my work has been in Service Cloud implementation projects. In this series, mainly we will be concentrating on Service Cloud implementation. And during this entire course of 1 month, we will understand like what Service Cloud implementation project requires and not only the technical things but also about various processes that are involved in delivering a project end to end. Let us now understand how project is carried out in any company. First, let us understand various audience or key players who are involved in the process of project management. As you see on the screen, I have listed on the key players who will be playing an important role in any project implementation, starting with product owners, scrum masters, project managers, business analysts, solution architects, technical leads, and so on. So let's start with product owners. Consider an example where I'm a vendor company who is expertise in delivering solutions to product companies. In my example, I'm Service Cloud consultant who can deliver Service Cloud implementation to product companies. Let's take an example of a refrigerator companies who sells refrigerator to customers. There are various people involved in the product company like sales team, marketing team, finance team, HR team who looks over different aspects of company's business, and there are few people who understand the product completely and they know what they want actually. So those kind of people are required to give the requirements to the vendors, and these guys are called product owners. Next comes manager and scrum master in the project. Normally in any project there will be a separate individual for managing the project and overseeing the scrum process, since every project nowadays is into agile. So we have a dedicated scrum master who will be taking care of daily calls, taking status, planning the sprints, the backlog refinement calls, and retrospective calls. Manager is a person who is responsible to deliver this implementation to client as on date as agreed. Next comes a very important person in project who is business analyst. He is a primary individual who acts as a bridge between client and the vendor. He takes requirements from the product owners. He understands the requirement clearly and those requirements are converted into user stories. And he conducts sessions to explain the requirements to technical architects, developers and testers. He will be mainly responsible if there is any gap between the product owner's understanding and the technical team understanding. Next comes solution architect. He is responsible for suggesting client that a specific tool can be used to achieve the requirement which they are expecting. There are many tools available for similar functionalities, like for Service Cloud implementation, it's not only Salesforce which can deliver the implementation, but there are other tools like Microsoft Dynamics and there are other CRM tools. But he is a person who convinced the client by explaining the Salesforce is the right one to satisfy the requirements. Next comes technical architect. He is the person who is going to design technical solution for the requirements that are being set by the business. He also suggests the right way to do and develop, like a particular requirement can be done in many ways, but he must suggest the best solution, best way to develop the requirement. Then we have lead who is going to manage the development team, and we have developers who is going to develop the solution. We also have test leads and test analysts who are going to test our functionality once it is deployed and developed. And lastly, we have a deployment team who is responsible to deploy our code base from one environment to other environment. Now jump into understanding a little bit more about Service Cloud. For any business, there are two important things that are always required. One is sales, like how you sell the product, and one is service, how you provide the service to the customers who purchase the product. As you see here, the statement says where sales ends, service starts. So let me give an example about the same refrigerator company which we discussed earlier. As a company, I have sold around thousands of refrigerators to various customers across a particular city. Once the product is delivered to the customer, it is the company's responsibility to make sure that the product is installed properly and it's working properly. So for this service is required. We may have different kinds of requests for a product which we sell like a refrigerator. I want my refrigerator to get serviced after 1 year of usage. One more request is something like the refrigerator is not working properly, or I need to inquire about a new feature about the product which I am not aware of. There are various requests that a customer can ask the company, and to answer these questions, they should be have a separate team who can handle all these requests. This team is mainly responsible for service requests and we call them as contact center people. Now, why companies fail in providing proper service? As per these surveys, it is mentioned like if a customer query is not solved in the first request, 50% of people will leave your product. And if the request is not handled for the next three times properly, then the customer is no longer with you. So, we should make sure that we build the trust among the customers by providing good service. To do that, we should have a proper system which can give you the overall picture about a customer and his past request and a proper answer for the request he made now. Also, if the customer is satisfied with the service that we provide, automatically there will be more sales to a product as the customer can refer his colleagues or his friends or his family members to purchase the product from your company. So, this way, service plays an important role in growing your business. Next comes what are the different ways that we can provide service. Nowadays, a customer want to get this service answered by sitting at home through a mobile or a call or through a chat or through any other medium instead of visiting the contact center or the service center. Now let us give an introduction about the industry that we are going to work on with the service cloud implementation. It's about the airlines industry. First of all, we should understand why service is required in airlines industry. Let us take an example about a customer traveling from place X to a place Y through my airlines. So think like I have already booked my ticket, but I just want to understand what is the excess fee that will be charged if I take an extra luggage with me. This information I can get it through chat or through a call or from frequently asked questions from the website. Let us consider another example where my baggage has been lost or misplaced and I want to raise a complaint against a particular travel. So this is one kind of a request that I am calling the call center and raising a complaint. In another scenario, I just want to thank the service that is provided to me while traveling from one place to another place. And also consider one more example like I just want to complain against one of the cabin crew who was very rude with me during the trip. So these are few examples of different kind of requests that can be handled or should be handled by the contact center team in my business. Now let us understand a few terminologies that are used in industries, airline industries. Like we commonly use words like passengers, airlines, PNR numbers, baggage, cabin crew, or billing information, anything else, etc. Now let us consider about the data model. Normally how the data model that we need to design for this airlines industry and what are the common objects that are exist in this particular service cloud implementation. We will go through more on this while we'll be discussing about this topic in future, but on a high level I'm going to give you the basic data model object that are used for this service cloud implementation for airlines project. Starting with accounts. Here, it can be of two types of accounts. One is a person account which stores information about an individual customer who is going to travel, use my flight for travel from one place to another place. And there may be a business account where companies are registered with my airlines to book tickets in bulk or for business purpose. Next comes a contact object, as we want to store the contact details about an individual or a person who is point of contact for the business. Next comes the case object, which is the central object of any service cloud implementation, which is where we will be talking more and doing more in this total project implementation. Then we also have a object called flight, which can store all the flight information, and one more object called passenger, which stores the passenger details for a particular flight they are traveling. Now let us go about the communication channels that are used in any service cloud implementation. Starting with, we have uh, we have channels like telephony where customers can call and raise a request. Then we also have web channels where customer can log in into the website and create a form as a request. Next, we also have a email where a customer can send an email for his request. And lastly, we have a chat where nowadays we have a normal chat or a SMS chat, WhatsApp chat, various kinds of chat channels that we can create and give as a support to the customers. Next, understand why integration is required. Generally, any system or a single system will never contain all the information that is required. There are multiple systems which are connected to each other and share the data among themselves. In our scenario, let's take an example of an airline industry where my customer data is stored in a mainframe system. Billing information is stored in a SAP system. My booking information is stored in some other system. So all the system needs to integrate with each other to give the real-time data for real-time information when required. So that's the main reason why we need integration. Let us understand the role of middleware. When different systems are connected and when we want to communicate from one system to another system, like I want to get the booking information from mainframe system, so you're not going to directly submit or send request to mainframe system, but you'll have a middleware to whom you'll be sending the request, and the middleware system will be communicating with the mainframe system and get the data back to you. Also, since each system uses different languages to communicate, middleware will convert the protocols as the required information according to the system which it communicates. During the course, we will understand how we will communicate with middleware and get the data to Salesforce using various scenarios. Next, tools that are used in any project implementation. When we start developing, we need a repository system where we store the code base. That is called Git repository. Next, to manage the project timelines, project related information and the project team's status and their uh, daily number of hours that they are going to work, we use a project management tool called Jira for that. Next, we also have a place where we can store the documents that we have drafted, like the technical document, project implementation plans, and various information about the project. That can be stored in a place called Confluence, which also have the team's knowledge information. Nothing but all the related documents about each requirement that we have developed. Lastly, we also have a tool called ServiceNow, and this is mainly used to raise any production tickets and to track the production bugs. Next comes security model. We also need to understand this security model while designing for any project, and generally in Salesforce we already know about this. Like all the security related concepts starts with user creation, then profile and permission set creations. Also based on the record visibility, we'll be using record sharing rules like OWD, roles, sharing settings and manual sharings. And there are various other things that comes under the security model which we will be discussing in the course. Other areas. We also going through various other areas about the project implementation like deployments. Once the code is developed, we need to push our code from one sandbox to other and to the production org. For this, we need to understand some deployment tools that we can use to do this activity. Next, testing. We should also understand how testing team perform testing for the functionality that which we have developed and deployed, and how they raise the bugs. Next, we also have a team called application maintenance team, which is mainly responsible to handle the bugs that are raised once the project is live and moved to production and are used by the end customers. So here we will know about how they debug the issue and fix the issue. Lastly, let me also share the few information about the topics that are covered during this course. Starting with the app creation, like we'll be creating a service cloud specific app, which normally any app from the app manager. Then we will also understand the access management, various security models that we'll be using or implementing. Next comes the data model. As I showed a basic data model earlier, but we will understand what is service cloud specific data model, how it looks, and the data model that is specific to the project which we will be implementing. Then we will understand the various channels that can be used by live examples and with the requirements. Next, about the knowledge management and its use case and how we can implement it. Next, about the case assignment rules, case auto response rules, and the very important topic called omni-channel routing, where we understand how a particular request is raised by a customer is being routed to a particular agent who is responsible to do it. This is what we are going to understand in omni-channel routing. We will also understand about matching and duplicate rules and what is the importance of those. Then we understand the importance of entitlement process and the milestones in any service cloud implementation. We will also go through a quick example and the requirement on Einstein bot and how it helps to increase the efficiency of contact center agent. Next, we will also look into some integration related topics. Lastly, we will also go through some AMS related activities like release updates and its impacts. As we all know, Salesforce has 3 releases every year. So once there is a release, always there is an impact on the existing code that we have already implemented and deployed to production. So it's the AMS team's responsibility to understand the release updates and their impacts on the existing code which is already there in the production. Also, we will understand how AMS tracks the issues and how they will be fixing the production issues. And lastly, we will also go through some AI related topics and the role in Service Cloud. Thank you.